Now at 5, Portland City Services and hundreds of jobs may be on the chopping block. The city's administrator detailing to address some of the city's $93 million budget deficit. Welcome to KOIN 6 News at 5. I'm Elizabeth Din.
And I'm Ken Body in for Jeff Gianola. Today we are getting a closer look at the budget woes facing the Rose City and what cuts may be on the way. Financial officials releasing preliminary recommendations on how to address a $93 million budget shortfall.
So with that, Joelle Jones is tracking this tonight. In fact, she's been doing that for weeks. She's live tonight with the very latest. Joelle?
Yes, Liz, I've been pushing for answers ever since the city announced that jaw-dropping $100 million deficit. Now we're getting a clearer picture. And while this is just a starting point, we now know that that deficit is actually less than what was projected. But despite the recommendations in here, which include cuts to PBOT as well as parks, a massive amount of trims still remain.
There aren't really any good choices here, okay? It's about where will you find the money to balance the budget?
City Administrator Michael Jordan unveiling new recommendations for the upcoming budget as Portland faces a $93 million shortfall. That's less than the $100 million projected in January. The city council and mayor now tasked with closing the gap in the city's general fund.
We are going to have to make hard decisions within those bureaus. Public safety is one of those, as is housing, as is parks. These are critical things that Portlanders rely on. That nobody wants to pit against each other.
Suggestions include slashing $17 million across public agencies, but not touching money for fire, police, 911, or elected officials. Shifting $19 million in interest from the PSEF fund, as well as slashing an estimated nearly 300 positions across the board. But that still doesn't cover the shortfall.
To be fair, there's still a $57 million gap.
And there's another issue. Last week, I reported on how Portland police spent more than $21 million on overtime last year. Portland Fire spending more than $24 million. The extreme cost credited to a lack of staffing by both agencies and city officials. Council President Alana Purtle-Guinea says it's an issue the city must get under control.
And the reality is doing that requires us to have more folks in those positions working straight time so that we don't rely on overtime hours, so that we're not relying on overtime, which is by far more expensive than having folks doing the job during their regular hours, and frankly, not the safest way to approach that work either.
Yet, the new proposal would keep bureau staffing levels stagnant, while also suggesting a reduction in overtime spending to the tune of 15,000 hours.
Is it reasonable to assume that this cap would not lead to the same outcome if staffing levels are going to be the same?
I think we have a model to follow to get ourselves out of this, but I will tell you, on the short term, it's an expensive shift.
So again, nothing is set in stone at this time, but what happens next? For the next few months, the council will hear public feedback before the mayor then puts together his proposed budget in May, which will be finalized in June. To read a full list of the recommendations, you can head to KOIN.com. Live in downtown Portland, I'm Joelle Jones, KOIN 6 News.
All right. Thanks, Joelle.